Feisty, fearless, and fair. She's an Emmy-winning journalist from the White House to war zones, telling all sides of the story. This is the Rita Cosby Show. Breaking news.
And tonight, the pounding continues from the U.S. on Iran as they are trying to bring them back to the negotiating table or to complete submission. And we have gone after a number of bridges. We also went after a couple towers, a couple structures tied to the ruthless Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. And in the last few minutes, Iran threatened to, quote, broaden the war, that they are planning some sort of reaction. And they say it will be swift and it will be strong. So let's see where it goes in the next few days, next few hours. But obviously a very tenuous situation taking place in the Middle East. And President Trump clearly trying to send a message to the Iranians and especially the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps that you will have no places to hide. Meantime, also, the Department of Homeland Security giving an update in the last little bit. This is on what's in store for that Canadian woman, remember, who's accused of slapping a teenager who had a patriotic attire on at the Jersey Shore on the July 4th weekend. The woman, remember, as it turns out, was in the country illegally, and she is now being held in custody. In ICE custody, and removal procedures are starting immediately. So they are now trying to determine when they can get her out of the country, saying she never should have been here, and how dare she go up and just attack this young girl because she didn't like that she was wearing a MAGA outfit on July 4th weekend. And there's some new video that's been released showing her walking over to this girl who was wearing a USA 250 tank top. And she said, oh, that's MAGA, and delivered 2 rapid fire blows. And now that woman looks like she will be deported very, very soon. Meanwhile, everybody talking about the Democratic Socialists of America that are taking over the Democratic Party. I mean, some of the things that they're just talking about are downright crazy. Defund the Department of War, amnesty for all illegal migrants, even those with serious violent offenses like murder and rape. Abolish police, 32-hour work week, tax the rich, abolish the Senate, abolish the Supreme Court. I mean, this is just lunacy. And here is Ari Fleischer talking about the socialist agenda and what it means to America.
You know, part of it is being anti-Israel, but the other part of it is being anti-America. And that is the deeper strain that's driving a lot of the behaviors inside the Democratic Party right now. Take what recently happened. You've got Congressman woman, soon to be Chevalier from Manhattan, who's founded a group that advocated for the, quote, total eradication of Western civilization. In Colorado, you have a woman who just won her Democratic primary. She'll go on to become Congresswoman from Denver. She blamed September 11th on the United States. You've got in the other parts of New York City, Claire Valdez, who advocated for nationalizing the airline industry. These ideas don't come from stem from love of America. They don't come from what you were just talking about, problem solving, individual success, the things that have always proudly differentiated ourselves from our European fathers and grandfathers. This is the difference that made America the innovative, individualized nation we are. They believe in collectivism, and they want to have a collectivism that replaces what we know to be the United States because they can't stand the United States.
What a sad testament, which is why good Democrats need to rise up and not allow this cancer to breed in their party. And earlier today on Katz and Cosby, John Katz and I talked to Laura Trump, and she talked about how it looks like Democrats, they don't want to kick out the illegal immigrants. Maybe they want them on the voter rolls.
Well, that's exactly right. But unfortunately, you see the way that this stuff, is divided down partisan lines. And it shouldn't be. Every American, no matter how you vote, should want to know that we are the only ones, as the American people, voting in our elections. That somewhere along the way, it became that, the Democrats have seemingly advocated for people to vote in our elections who are not American citizens. Obviously, they kept the border wide open for 4 years while Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were at the helm. And we know their goal was to basically get a new voting bloc for themselves. When your policies stink and nobody wants to vote for you, you have to import new voters. And so, yeah, they should absolutely be concerned that non-citizens are voting in our elections. But it seems like their talking point has consistently been that only the Republicans care about that we should just have a free flow of people. We shouldn't worry about a voter ID. We know that they don't want to pass the Save America Act. And I'll tell you, it's sad because this is something that concerns every American.
And by the way, one of the other things on the Democratic Socialist agenda is no prisons. Can you imagine? Let's just walk over and open up all the prison cells, let them all out, and let them all run wild. And speaking of Democratic Socialists, Zoran Mondani went to Rikers, and he recently watched a World Cup game with a whole bunch of inmates there. And the guy next to him, you can't make it up, is in there because he is accused of strangling his girlfriend to death. So he's hanging out with these inmates in Rikers watching the FIFA World Cup, but he doesn't have time to go to the Israel Day Parade. No, don't go there. I have no desire to be there, but he wants to sit next to somebody who strangled his girlfriend to death. Let's just be real. What about the victims of crime? This is such a Democratic Socialist thing to do. What about the victims? The actual victims? Did he go to a FIFA game with them and watch a FIFA game with them? Did he do anything to help them? No, he's going to visit the attackers. It's just so lunatic. And here is Zoran Mondani. You got to listen to him. This is when he arrives in Rikers, and he was so happy to be amongst many of these violent offenders.
And we talked about 66. You have one star only. You conceded that. And you percent that free. The same thing. You guys were flawed.
I hope that this shares with people who are incarcerated here on Rikers that they too are a part of New York City. The World Cup has been a magical moment for the entire city. These are New Yorkers, and they will be New Yorkers when they get out of Rikers. They're New Yorkers today, and I wanted to make sure that we can celebrate this moment together.
These are New Yorkers, and we want to make sure we can celebrate together, but he doesn't go to the victims of crime. He doesn't go to the Israeli Day Parade. Do the inmate at Rikers, especially the one who strangled his girlfriend, does he deserve to feel like, he needs to get a visit from the mayor of New York? I always feel like when you go see, the mayor and you have that opportunity, it's always an honor to meet somebody who's a city official or senior official. Do these people, especially somebody convicted of a heinous crime, feel like they should be celebrated? I'm sorry. It really turned my stomach. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go back to Norm in Brooklyn, line 5. Go ahead, Norm.
Yeah, hi. Look, from what I can see, we have an influx of extremism. Extremism is not good, whatever you call it. Trump seems to be upholding, in my opinion, civilization. Okay? So whatever you got to say, that this is my thoughts on this. Now, when it comes to socialism, socialists in the 30s and 40s, like my mother was a socialist in Austria. Socialists in the 30s and 40s were not anti-Zionistic. There was no Israel. We were in diaspora in the middle of Europe. And soon to come was Mr. Hitler, by the way, national socialist, as opposed to international socialist. Anytime the word, and my mother was attracted to it because it was basically the only option, a Jewish girl, or somebody who was clear thinking in Europe in 1938 when Hitler invaded. It was the only thing that was a viable option. But my mother came to the United States after her family was devastated, as a lot of immigrants did legally, under a quota. Her uncle had to pay for her to work in a factory, and basically, she grew up. She changed. My mother was naturally a patriot, well read, and she would go on to join the U.S. Army. My mother served in the Women's Army Corps for 4 years as a German translator, and discharged. Met my dad. Well, actually met another dad, but anyway, then met my dad, and here I am.
What do you think is the message, Norm, from all of that?
Avoid extremism.
Yep.
I even hear it among, listen, I say stupid things like Trinity, bomb Iran. This is me I fight with those feelings. But I'm glad that they have Donald Trump to mitigate that, to keep me on keel. Because I have also a tendency to be an extremist. And out of frustration, out of whatever. But
you know what we love about you, Norm? That you go out there and you've been out at many of these protests because you believe in these things. You believe in these causes. You believe in America.
I believe in America, and we have to hold the center. We have to hold the center.
I agree.
If we don't hold the center, it's gone. It's gone. And I wish people would, I'm reading a little book now. I met him. He fought in the Grossdeutschland division. He was not a Nazi. He was an Austrian boy like my mother. Grew up. And he talks about the entanglements of history. But what I'm getting from this little book, which is called The Good Soldier, it's a short little book, and he signed it for me at the time in the 2003, Alfred Novotny. He told me, first thing I talked about the Jewish thing and all that, and he told me he had Jewish members of his family. But what I got from it is, hold that friggin' center.
Absolutely. Norm, so well said. You know what? That is absolutely the key. And Norm, especially given everything that you've been going through health-wise that you've talked about so powerfully here on the show, and to call in, I think your message, just really means so much. You've been able to sort of sit back and look back, and your message, especially at this moment where we see a lot of people that are not holding the center, no common sense, it means even more than anything. Norm, we love you. Let's talk soon. Make sure you give us a call soon. We always love hearing from you. Norm, thank you very, very much. And now let's go to Dom in Minnesota, line 4. Dom, your thoughts tonight?
Yeah, Rita, I called to talk about Trump's speech yesterday, but first let me first of all, let me say, Norm, if you're listening, wish you the best of health, sir.
Yeah, doesn't he sounds better. I'll tell you, every time I hear him calling in, he sounds better and stronger. Yep. And so many of those qualities. Dom, I want to play a clip for you, and I'll get you to react here. This is, we just got this in. We played, Mondani, hanging out with the criminals there at Rikers, including the guy who strangled his girlfriend to death. And there's a clip from this woman. Her name is Linda Sarsour. She is the mentor of Mondani, sort of his idol, if you will, and sort of the trainer of a lot of these young democratic socialists. And take a listen to what she said about the Declaration of Independence. This is pretty shocking.
This is the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. This is, quote unquote, America's birthday. And the question historically is going to be, what were we doing on the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence? Do we have the audacity to sit around and say that we want to build a document that is our values and our principles and bring millions of Americans around it? And so I see people on the streets. I see mutual aid efforts. I see young people running for office. I see people of color, marginalized people getting up and saying, I'm the leader that I've been waiting for, and seeing people rally around those leaders. And so don't give up hope, folks. There's more to come. We're going to survive this. And some of us are going to be on the fight back, and some of us are going to be on the other side waiting to catch you when we win, because there got to be other people that are going to be building the thing that you're going to come to once we win this fight back, because we will win, my friend. So keep your chin up, your head up. It is the blessed month of Ramadan right now, so I've had a lot of time to reflect on this.
I mean, I heard saying what the document isn't good enough. We need to have something. We need to have the courage to write what really represents America, not the Declaration of Independence. Dom, what's going on here?
Well, I think she wants the Palestinian Constitution to replace the American Constitution. That's exactly what she wants.
Yeah, that's what she's saying, right? She's saying the Gaza Constitution so much better. Dom, do me a favor. We're going to take a break, and I want to continue with you after the break here on the show. 1-800-848-9222. We'll be right back with Dom and the rest of your calls.
You're listening to The Rita Cosby Show. This is The Rita Cosby Show. This is The Rita Cosby Show.
And let's go back to Dom in Minnesota. Go ahead, Dom. You're here on The Rita Cosby Show. Thank you.
Yeah, Rita, I think I called about, Trump's speech, but real quick, I'd like to give a recommendation to Joe Biden. I think he should call his book, What Am I Doing Here? Or I Beat Medicare.
I beat it to death. Remember? That was that classic line when Trump looked at him and said, "What did he say?" I cannot believe that he has come out with this book, and I'll make sure. In fact, after the break, Dom, I'm going to play his book pitch, because when you hear it, he's like slurring his words. They had to put like chyrons underneath to almost translate what he's saying. And even many Democrats are coming out and saying, please go away. Don't relive this really painful period. But the Democratic Party's really in a mess, Dom, because you got that. You got, all the stuff with Graham Plattner. You got all the Democratic socialists. And that's a mess for America, right?
Yep. I'll bet you $1,000 he wrote every word in that book.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I am sure, Dom. Every single word. Do you think he even knows there is a book? Dom, thank you very much. It's always great to talk with you. Have a terrific weekend. And I will play that trailer, that Joe Biden trailer after the break, everybody. We will be right back here on The Rita Cosby Show.
It's The Rita Cosby Show. Rita Cosby is on.
Well, we won't forget about Joe Biden. And in just a moment, we'll play his ad for his new book. But first, this is a wild story. A passenger on a Germany-bound flight invoked Sharia law to avoid sitting next to a woman. This was a 29-year-old German national with a Turkish background. He refused to sit next to a woman, citing Sharia law, which is the religious and moral code of Islam. And when an aircraft employee tried to speak to the guy, he then slapped the air stewardess in the face. That person, needless to say, was arrested and is being investigated. But How about saying, I don't want to sit next to a woman because it violates Sharia law? Wow, I guess there's not many flights that person can go on. Also tonight, this is interesting. The Trump administration is reviving. It's a rule that would deny green cards to immigrants who use public benefits that can include like food stamps, Medicaid, housing vouchers, and other things like that. Under the policy, applicants for green cards have to show that they would not be burdens to the country or what are called public charges. So now Mayor Mondani is vowing to fight this new policy from the Trump administration, saying that he doesn't like it. He thinks it's unfair to individuals. He said, New York City will use every tool at our disposal to fight this attack on immigrant families and the communities that make our city the greatest on earth. Meantime, the Trump administration said they're going full steam ahead and they want to have immigration officers to have that authority to deny green cards for immigrants who have used public benefits like Medicaid and housing assistance and all this other stuff. So it's an interesting issue, and we're probably going to be hearing a lot more about this. Apparently, this sort of public charge is going to be formally published on July 20th. So that's right around the corner. And no doubt we'll be hearing more about that. Meantime, Joe Biden tonight, guys, has a new book ad out. His new book originally was supposed to come out in September, and now it's coming out right after the midterm elections. So I think the Democrats are probably happy about that, because I've heard a lot of Democrats come out and say, please, Joe, go away. They don't want him to revisit anything. And if you listen to this ad, it's really sad, because here he is, the president of the United States. You heard President Trump last night. Not if you watched ABC or NBC. You wouldn't have seen him on there. But elsewhere, if you were watching President Trump last night, spry as a kite. I mean, he's sharp, seamlessly moving in and out of topics, quippy, on it. The guy is so alert. He is so sharp. And the way his mind works, where he like seamlessly goes from one topic to another topic, it really is remarkable. And then you juxtapose that with the former president, Joe Biden, who literally in this ad, and you can't see it because it's you're going to hear it only, but there's subtitles because they literally believe that many of the things he said you couldn't understand. Maybe you can translate it for me, but here it is. Dom and I were just talking about it with all of you, and here's Joe Biden on his new book about his time as president, and it's called Promise Me America. And many people are saying, promise us you'll go away.
Since I left the presidency, I've had a lot of people ask me, Joe, what have you been doing? I've been spending a lot of time with my family. I'm dealing with a cancer diagnosis, and I've been getting treatment, and it's been going really well. I want to thank all those who offered their prayers and support and well wishes. It's meant the world to me and to Jill. I've written a book about my time as president. It's called Promise Me America. It's coming out in November, and it's available for pre-order now. It's about the challenge we face as a nation, about the decisions I made, and why I made them. Leading the country through COVID, rebuilding our economy, and restoring our democracy after the attack on January 6th. Ending our nation's longest war in Afghanistan, strengthening NATO, and supporting Ukraine. It's about why I chose to run for re-election and why I chose to step aside. Most of all, it's about my faith in the promise of America. The promise we made to those who've gone before us is to honor their sacrifice. The promises we made to one another and to treat everyone with dignity and respect. And the promises we made to future generations of Americans to remain the beacon to the world. Promise Me America is about my faith in America and the American people. I hope you'll read it, and I hope it strengthens your faith in what we can do as a nation and a people.
That was kind of painful. You could just tell he's slurring. And listen, I wish him well. There are reports today, by the way, that Hunter Biden is thinking about being sort of the moderate, common sense voice in the Democratic Party, that he doesn't like this socialist strain. I never thought I would agree with Hunter Biden, but I do agree with him on that. I just don't agree that he's the guy to lead the party. We've already seen way too much of Hunter Biden, remember, with all those pornography tapes and everything else. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Gail in Pennsylvania, line 5. Go ahead, Gail.
Hi, Rita. You asked the question tonight whether we think the FCC should get involved in possibly taking the license from some of these networks. And I definitely think they should be investigated because, you know, they're monopolistic. Now, I'm not against growth, and I'm not against companies becoming large, et cetera. I'm really not. But I am against predatory capitalism because then it turns into socialism where the cronies, you know, the Democrat Party crony leaders they will put more taxes and regulations on other businesses so that these monopolistic type networks, it's not just a network, I mean, they own so much, that they want to put their small business competitors out of business. Now, I think that's something the FCC should look into, especially when they're hurting really the public. I mean, at this point, they are very socialistic, and it's predatory socialism.
Is it like a complicity, Gail? I mean, in many ways it is, right?
Regulatory capture. In other words, by getting these Democrat leaders in power, by helping them and assisting them, they're helping themselves stay monopolistic, if you know what I mean.
Yep. No, absolutely. Absolutely. So do you think they will do something? Or do you think, do you think what happened last night is enough of a jump start?
I hope they investigate, you know, and hope it might scare some of these billionaires, these predatory billionaires that own these media conglomerates. I would hope they would start investigating, at least start investigating and maybe scare them. I mean, like I say, I'm not against growth, but they're so predatory, you know. They want to stop the innovator competitors. They want to stop that.
Right, that's a problem. And also, you know, separate than even the sort of business tactics as you're talking about. Also, let's not forget what we've seen coming up with the way they've handled just suppression. I mean, the censorship actually is really troubling as well. I mean, that to me is a whole other issue. The fact that they would not cover the president, this president, I shouldn't say any president, they would be delighted if it was Obama. And, you know, and they perceive themselves as being news outlets. And that to me is a false representation if you're only going to cover one side and not the other, and then do fact checks on one. And yet when it's another side that they politically like, they let everything slide. So that's not a news. You know, that's an issue. That's a biggie. Gail, very interesting conversation, and let's see where it goes, because I think it's been eye-opening for a lot of people, and I think last night did really jumpstart a lot of things. Thank you so much. Let's go to Nick in Virginia, line 2. Nick, your thoughts tonight.
Good evening, Mayor Cosby.
Thank you. I got promoted. Thank you. I'll take it.
You know, Bella Absel had the hats, but you have the brains under the hats.
Thank you. By the way, she had some great spunk. Bella Abzug had some great spunk. She sure did.
Yep. And before I say what I wanted to say, I think Joe Biden's new book should be called Pinocchio 2.0. It's not what America is about.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Or how about, should I shaking hands in the forest, Remember when he walked backwards and started shaking hands to the trees? I mean, that would be a good one. Shaking hands in the forest. Everybody would know what that is. And it shows he has a good sense of humor.
Well, Rita, I live here in Virginia, but if I travel to New York City and I end up in Rikers Island, that does not make me a New Yorker. According to the mayor, it does. Nor does it make me a New Yorker if I'm Somalia asking for public assistance in New York, or someone from New Jersey that's living on the streets in New York. That doesn't make him a New Yorker. You have to live somewhere and be part of the community to be a New Yorker. You have to be. If you're born there in New York, you're a New Yorker. And New York is not an international city. It's a city in America. We're not some unattached city from the United States. I never hear him talk about Americans. He always talks about New Yorkers. And I think his idea is, let's have the people in prison be counted in the census. I think that's where he's going with that.
Well, and listen, he's part of the whole democratic socialist movement, and they believe in no prisons. I mean, which is why it's a pretty scary premise. And the democratic socialists believe that nobody should be deported, and that includes murderers and rapists. Like, you should be keeping them here. I mean, how does that make any sense for public safety? And the one thing I find odd about him going there, if you see him go and the clapping, you heard in that moment, that's when he came in, because the inmates were like, whoa, there's the mayor. How cool, right? And I'm all for giving people second chances and rehabilitation and helping all those folks. But there's something, a lot of people are having a hard time with it because he didn't make the time to go to the Israel Day parade. He seems to make excuses for some of the past comments from his wife. He's all these comments, the globalize the intifada, we need to send a social worker versus a cop to things. We need to, open up the prisons. We need to do this. We need to do that. He's talked about closing Rikers. He just seems to have a proclivity to these kind of people over law-abiding citizens. That's the problem. It's like he's ignoring the good guys, and yet he wants to go visit a guy who strangled his girlfriend. I mean, there's something weird about that, Nick.
Yes, and your parents used to say, watch the friends that you hang out with.
Yeah, judge him by the company he keeps.
Right.
Absolutely. And Nick, I'll take the mayor title too anytime. You're great.
I'm working on it, Rita.
Have a good weekend. Thanks so much, Nick. You're terrific. Thank you. Let's go to Max in Manhattan, line 4. Go ahead, Max.
Rita, thank you for taking my call. I think there are two individuals that we have to apologize to who we poo-pooed when they were discussing the fraud that was going on in the voting system. And that is Rudy Giuliani and Mike Lindell.
Well, and you want to apologize to him now?
I think many of us have to, because we were poo-pooing them. And in fact, Giuliani got kicked off the radio because he was talking about this.
Well, Max, let's get into the broader issue. And by the way, I love them both. I like them both. By the way, Lindell is also doing quite well in the Minnesota governor's race. We just had him on recently. But Max, let's stay focused on the issue, okay? Because do you agree that there's something wrong, that what Trump talked about more last night was not necessarily the processes. What he was talking about is that there were illegals on the voting rolls. He was talking about China hacking. Where do you think it's going to go? Where do you think? I mean, do you think, why are Democrats not even doing a fundamental thing like the SAVE Act? Why is there so much resistance to this?
I don't know which we should go after first. The Democrats who do not want to focus in on the SAVE Act, or the Chinese that are buying properties left and right and taking over the voting system here in the U.S.
Yeah,
it's a velvet glove attack.
Well, and I'll just say the allegations, and again, they're just allegations. But the allegations from the president are that the Chinese were able to get into the voting rolls. We don't know what they did with the information. We don't know exactly all the specifics, but it sounds like a big amount. We'll find out where it goes. It's very important. I think it does need to be looked into, and let's see where it goes. Let's see how far reaching it is and what they actually used, and then let's see what happens with all the stuff that you talked about. But I love Rudy, and I also love Mike Lindell too. So I'm glad you called. Let's go to Joaquin real quick. Joaquin on line 5. Go ahead, Joaquin.
Yes, good evening, Rita. You know something? Do you remember about the Chinese Boxer Rebellion where China kicked everybody out of their country?
Oh, yeah.
It was that movie with Steve McQueen?
Right.
It was called Sand Pebbles.
Yes.
And you know what? This is what we have to do. We have to actually protect our Western civilization. And that story that you told about that guy on the airplane is the perfect thing, you know, to point out the fact that Islam and Western society are just not compatible. And if we don't start kicking the third worlders and keeping them out of our country's going to be changed. That's what for some reason the Democrats want that, and we will not have America anymore. You know, and this is not a matter of hatred or anything like that towards any particular person, because, I mean, I've had friends from all kinds of cultures, you know, but there comes a point where you have to realize that, you know, even when you talk about, you know, African Americans and the slavery issue, again, a lot of it's a lie, you know, and also, too, at the Alamo, there were Mexicans who considered themselves to be Texans that died at the Alamo also, you know, so I'm not making this a racial issue. I'm just saying this is Western civilization.
Well, that's why I brought up the Sharia law. Can you imagine someone saying, I'm sorry, I'm not going to sit next to this inferior woman on a plane? Well, then what are they supposed to hire private planes for these people? I mean, you know, to me, I mean, this is like, you know, that's like Stone Age, you know, but it makes me wonder, Joaquin, how often does that happen that we just don't hear about it? I bet you that happens a lot.
Exactly. And you know what? I've watched videos on social media of things that are going on in the countries of our allies, you know, England and France and those places, and Belgium. And I'll tell you what, it is scary as heck, because what they're doing is they're arresting, you know, white British citizens, you know, for things because, you know, they're speaking out against Islam. I watched the video of them.
And that's a problem. That's a problem. Joaquin, do me a favor. Stick with us. We're going to go to a hard break, but we'll be right back, Joaquin. I want to make sure we do support our heroes.
The Rita Cosby Show presents Support Our Heroes.
And this is the Tunnel to Towers Foundation Support Our Heroes segment with a very powerful story from Sycamore, Illinois, where political leaders recently visited a place called the Grand Victorian at Sycamore, where they presented a certificate honoring World War II veteran Jack Connerton in celebration, get this, of his 107th birthday. Now, during World War II, he served in the U.S. Army Air Forces after completing engineering and operations training before being stationed in Bedford, England, until the war's end in 1945. And everybody help America to never, ever forget. Donate $11 a month to the Tunnel to Towers Foundation at T2T.org.
You're listening to The Rita Cosby Show.
Born on America's darkest day of September 11th, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation has helped America's heroes ever since. Heroes like United States Army Sergeant Mario Nelson, who volunteered at Ground Zero after 9/11. He later enlisted and deployed to Iraq, where he made the ultimate sacrifice. Nelson was killed by a rocket-propelled grenade, leaving his wife Mecca and daughter. Tunnel to Towers honored his sacrifice by providing the Nelson family with a mortgage-free home. Donate $11 monthly and amplify your impact with a car or land donation at T2T.org.
This is Larry Kudlow for American Sovereign Bullion. This is a warning for you. Your savings are exposed, and doing nothing right now is the biggest risk of all. Gold and silver remain the final hedge against currency devaluation, against inflation, and ongoing economic uncertainty around the world. Please go to ASBGold.com to get your dying dollar guide from American Sovereign Bullion and learn how to protect your wealth with gold and silver. Delivered right to your door or secured in a gold IRA. Go to ASBGold.com right now.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You sort through tons of resumes and you get too many so-so applicants. You're just waiting for someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now, there's a place where you can meet them fast. ZipRecruiter.
Need to hire right away. Start your search for strong candidates. The right fit awaits. Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. And you're on your way to meeting your match. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So try it now. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
I heard the call to serve, so I answered. I earned a title and discovered my purpose. I found belonging, an unbreakable bond with my fellow Marines. We fought to overcome adversity together in defense of our nation and its people. I've lived a full life, rich with meaning. And even though I no longer wear the uniform, I am This is the Rita Cosby Show. It's the Rita Cosby Show.
And everybody have a great weekend and try to be careful with this crazy smoke that's affecting millions of people across America. The wildfires from Canada coming down. And we'll talk with you on Monday night, everybody.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.